Now I'm just going to go through all of the features that you really need to know about a church near you. It may be that you're already an editor on a church near you, and a lot of this will just reaffirm what you already know. But I'm hoping that if you are just kind of exploring it for the first time, it should be pretty straightforward and easy to follow, or it might point out things to you that you didn't know were there. Now, just before we go into the details, as hopefully you can all see my screen here, this is the homepage of a church near you, and this is what it looks like to any visitor that might arrive on it. In one way or another, we're going to have to make sure that our digital presence is there to serve people. Sometimes it's just to keep people informed, sometimes it's to help people find and come to faith, sometimes it's just to serve your local community as a hub of your community. But whatever reason, this is a really good place to start. You might already have a church website, and that's brilliant. This is not in any way for me trying to say, oh, don't bother with the church website, just have your church near you page. That's not the case. However, if you don't have a church website, or if your church website is kind of getting a bit tired and difficult to manage, sometimes the operating systems that they were initially set up on have just become a bit dated and hard to manage. This is a great alternative. Your church has a free church near you page regardless. You have a presence on this website, whether or not somebody manages or edits your church's page, you are there. So it's really worth knowing about how to use this site, and also how to make the most of it. There is an argument for saying if your church website's no longer kind of fit for purpose, then you might want to just use this church page as your main website. It has all the functions that your website probably currently has. Or you might just want to use it as a holding place before you redesign your website and do a new website, and this might just be a good place to direct people to. So we'll start with what it tends to be the more fiddly aspect of this, which is getting logged in the first place. So when you first arrive on this website, somebody's looking for a church, they would type their location in this box here. And if you're looking for your church so that you can claim it as your page, this is a really good way of going about it. So if I was to put in one of our local areas, so if I put Bolton in and I select it and press go, the orange button, it brings up every Anglican church within a particular sort of geographical area of Bolton. And I could then click on, I could have a little look through the list. If I sort of vaguely knew my church's, my local church's name, if I was looking for a church to attend, then I would be able to scroll through this list. Or if I knew geographically where I was, if I live in Bolton and I thought, well, I'm looking for a church in Little Lever, then there's one here, so I can click on it and, it's St. Matthew's. Okay, I'll visit that page. Obviously, if you attend St. Matthew's in Little Lever, you'll know where your church is and what its name is, so you'll be able to go straight to it. So you click on the name of your church and then click the button that says visit page, and it'll take you to your home page here. Now, if I didn't already edit this church page, which I don't, but it's my church and I want to be the editor of it, I just go to this button here where it says edit this church, and I would click on it. Now, anyone can request to access. This is why their security is quite high. It would ask you to register for an editor account, to create an account, and then that would give you a login to this website. Now, if you already have a login to this website, then you can log into your account from this button here. But those are your two options. You either need to register to become a registered editor, or you just log into the account that you've already created. So I'll do that now, log into my account. I've got it on a little password thing. So back to St. Matthew's, then once I've logged in, it takes me to this page. This is still the same edit this church page as I was on before. I'll just show you how I got there again. So back to the St. Matthew's homepage, click on edit this church, and it takes you to this option now, which says request access. So in this box here, you need to type a message that explains what your role is at your church and why you want to be the editor of it. It could be that you're a church warden, or you're just a volunteer that's taking on some of the digital, whatever it is, that's absolutely fine. It might be that you've gone into interregnum and the vicar used to do it and now someone else needs to take it on. Whatever the reason, type it in and click request access, which I'm not going to do right now because poor old St Matthew's really don't need me faffing around with their page. I'll now take you to my church's page, which is the one that I can show you some examples on, so that you can see what it looks like once you're logged in. My Churches and Benefices tab is how you jump quickly to your church's page. You'll be able to see here that you get a few extra options once you've logged in, including details about safeguarding, which is really helpful for any editor. So here's my church. I've got the access rights to 2 different churches. This is my church I attend regularly. So I click on there and it takes me to my homepage. On this page, you can see a lot more things once you're the editor of a page. So you can see all the way down the side, on this left-hand side, you get these little pen symbols, which is an edit button for all intents and purposes. So it means that I've got the right to update and change any of the things that you see on this page. Also, instead of the tab that said edit this page, I've now got a tab that says manage editors. So you can see there's me and my vicar. We're the 2 people that are the editors of this page if I clicked on there. So you can then see who is the editors of your page. So if there's people that you know that have left the church, then you can sort out having those people removed as editors, because you can have a maximum of 5 people edit a page. And it's a really useful thing to make sure that you check who is the editors, so that you've got people who are actually currently attending your church as editors. So I'll take you through the different functions of the page, and this is our home page. And at the moment there's quite a lot of stuff on our home page, because obviously with the lockdown there's been so many changes. We have to keep updating our homepage to make sure anybody who happens across this they get the most recent information. So this is our little opening statement we always leave at the top, but at the moment the changes that are in place come under this bold heading. I will show you how you can update that very easily shortly. We've also got details of the necessary safeguarding information on the homepage, which everybody needs to have. And you can see that we've got links here. The underlined bits are links. I can show you how to put a link in so that people can connect to various other places you want to send them. Then this is quite a useful tab. This is something that only you as an editor can see, the analytics tab. And this shows you how many people have viewed your page this week, this month, and this year. Anyone who becomes an editor can see that, but visitors can't see it. So you couldn't, people won't go around comparing how many people have visited what page, anything like that. You can also add a donate now button to your homepage now. So if you've got online giving set up for your church, you can now link it to your church near you homepage, and it's very, very easy to do. Your get in touch details you can change and update here, which is just anything, the contact details that you want to give people. And we have a what's on recent events type tab, which you can also set up. So I'm going to take you through exactly how you do all of these things now. So when you first arrive on your page, it might be quite blank or it might be a bit out of date. The first thing, I think the best thing for you to start with is editing your homepage. To return to your homepage, you can always just click this little home symbol, and the button you want to press is this little pen here, which will take you to the very clearly signed edit your homepage. And if you've ever done any website editing, you'll know that it can be quite complicated behind the scenes of a website. And sometimes you even need to input code and things like that. And there's none of that here. So you get asked for your friendly church name. So what is the church referred to? Some people obviously have almost like a nickname, or they call it Saint something and Saint somethings. Just make sure that that is the actual name that everybody calls your church. You'll still be registered officially as, we're registered as St Mary's Nantwich, but we'll be referred to as St Mary's as our homepage name, if that makes sense. Here you can upload a logo from your files. So you just click the upload button, select your church's logo if you have one from your folders on your computer, and that will automatically fill in as your homepage image. And then you can also input a church building image, which if you don't have a logo will then autofill as your profile image there. So that's a handy thing. So if you don't have a logo, not to worry, you can put a church building image in instead. You can also upload a cover image, which is the top oblong section at the top of your page, which just gives it a bit of personality. So if I just go back and show you what that looks like, you can see here, that's where our cover image comes in. You can see my mouse moving there, and it just gives you a flavour of the church. So it doesn't have to be a picture of the church building, it could be a service in action, it could be some of the artwork or the windows in the church, anything you like, but it just gives it a bit of personality really. So just so you're aware where that appears. Now you go back on the edit, you click on the little pen. So we've seen the where you put your images in, and you can change those whenever you like. If you had, for example, some building work done and you've had the scaffolding taken off, you could have a nice new picture of how the church is looking, or if you've had a reordering or something, that would be a good thing to put as that cover image so that people can see the most recent picture of what your church looks like. Now, here comes this white box that was at the top of the home page. This is the page content section, and it gives you a suggested safeguarding paragraph there. So if you don't have any particular wording already, you can use this paragraph here, or rather long paragraph, and then the request is that you add in your safeguarding information for your parish, and obviously our diocesan contact as well. What we've done above that is just to put in our kind of need to know information, which is here, about when our regular services, when the building's open, important details, contacts, that kind of thing. And we have a little description at the top just of what sort of church we are. This is a really important box on your page because it's really the first thing people see. Now, I've seen a lot of our church homepages on a church near you which just put the safeguarding information in, which is great, you're meant to do that, but I would also put in a welcome message of some kind, simply because it's more friendly and welcoming. And I think you don't want to fall into the trap of all they see is safeguarding when they arrive. That's not the sole purpose of these pages, is to inform people about our safeguarding procedures. And it can be quite off-putting because it just, you know, if that's all that people are greeted with, it's not a very friendly welcome. So definitely put a welcome message on, as well as your safeguarding information, to make people feel like they get a sense of who you are as a church. So you can see on this text here on the home page that some of it's bold and some of it's a link that you can click. Now, we have done that very simply. If you go to the edit button, down to this content here, if I want to do anything in terms of changing how my font looks on this page, you highlight and it automatically throws up the option to do bold, italics, or underlined. That's for emphasis, I presume. And the little hash symbol means add a link. So there you would copy and paste the link. Let's say I wanted it to link to the diocesan website, manchester.anglican.org, and I'd click tick, and automatically it becomes a link, and that's it. Campaigns is a handy little box. If your church participates in the national Christmas campaigns, you can just tick this box, and at the beginning of Advent, your page will kind of be decorated with the national branding. If you want to tick that box and have your page kind of dressed up with that sort of design, then you can. You don't have to, but it's kind of nice. It makes your page look festive and involved in the campaign. What's on panel? This selects from all of the events that you can upload into a church near you and puts them on the home page. So if you click on your drop down list here, any events that you put into your services and events tab, which I'll show you shortly, will appear in this list here. Now, I tend to have it cycling through, use the next upcoming event, so it automatically will update to the next event after an event has passed. Or if you are particularly pushing one particular event, whether that be a fundraiser or a particular group that you're trying to get off the ground, whatever, you can click use this event and then select the event from this list here, and you can just use it as an extra place to kind of push that particular event. Obviously it'll be up to you then when that event has passed to take that event off and put a different event on and select that. So just to be aware that that is a lot more of a manual option than this one, which is, I mean, it's just easy and slightly lazy probably, but you know, we've got a lot of jobs to do, haven't we? And this just helps make it slightly easier. The news panel works in exactly the same way. So if you choose to upload little news stories to your church near you page, you might just use extracts from your pew sheet, that kind of thing, then you can keep the latest article highlighted on your homepage, or you can select from articles that you've written before on the drop down list and use that article. So if you're doing a fundraising campaign and you wanted that to be your top news story for that month, then you just select use this article. It works in exactly the same way. Charity and donations is a new section that they've added to a church near you. So this is how you add your donate now button to your homepage. So if you can take online donations, if you're a member of our Gift Aid Light scheme, this is certainly something that Paul Bailey at the diocese can help you with further. Very simply, you put in the details of your online giving page. So if you have we use CAF donate, and this is our unique URL that takes you to our donations page on the CAF website. So I put that in. You can change the banner title, so it doesn't have to say donate to. It could say, start giving to St. Mary's, or it could say, please support our latest giving campaign. Whatever you want it to say, you can change that. And this is support our work in the community is our little tagline for our giving. So that's what we use there. And then you need your charity number if you have one, and you just fill that in. And once you've done, or if you've made any changes whatsoever, you need to then click save. The last thing you want to do is put all these details in, scroll back to the top, and then click on homepage, because it won't have saved anything. So do make sure you press save. And that's how you change absolutely everything on the homepage. As you can see, it's just really fill in this box, click this button. There's no kind of complicated coding or anything like that to be done. So it is really, really straightforward. So hopefully everyone can have a go at making sure their homepage is up to date. So if we go back to our homepage, you can just see that in action. There's that top box. Again, there's your donate now button. You automatically get given a map of where you are, and there's what's on our latest event. So the next tab down is services and events. So I shall click on there. Here we go. So this is all of our services and events that we have on at the moment. So I will show you now how you can add an event to your calendar. Incidentally, it will also appear in calendar form just over there, so you can see your calendar gets populated by every event that you add. Now, if you wanted to change the details of a pre-existing event, you would click on this little button here, this edit button, which is always the symbol for editing. Click on there and it'll take you into an editing page, and you can change any details that you need to change. So for example, if your service times have changed recently, but your service is for all intents and purposes still an all-age worship, then you can go in and change the times or put in a bit of detail about social distancing or whatever it is you need to do. But I'll show you the full process of adding an event now. So you click on the little plus button. So rather than the edit button, you click on the little plus button, which means add. And very simply, it takes you to add an event. So you choose your event title, make it nice and clear. I've been trying to get into the habit of putting online event in the title, because I just think that helps people know whether it's online or in person. I think that's a useful thing at the moment to emphasize. And then you have to put in a description for the event as well, and make sure that it's something that would be comprehensive to people who've never been to a church service before. I think that's really important, because realistically your regular attendees probably aren't coming on your church near you page all the time to find out about your events. They've probably already got an email or a pew sheet or something. They know what's going on. So this is about catching the interests of people who have come across you for the first time. So make sure in your description that it's really clear. I mean, if you put in Evensong, for example, an evening service with full choir, and and just explain what that might look like to somebody that's coming for the first time. Now, tags is still quite a relatively new part of a church near you, and it's a really useful part. So this is a really important bit not to skip over when you're adding your events, because it helps to define what your event is. So adding tags, you press the change tags button, and then you select from all of these options here what type of service it is. So it might be that let's say it's in Holy Week, for the sake of argument. You'd click that. It's also going to be Good Friday, And after the service, you're going to be serving hot cross buns. Fingers crossed by next year we will be able to do that. And then you can scroll through. I mean, you get used to this list. I know it looks very long, but you do start to know where everything sits. There's all your Christmas stuff here. And there's going to be an organ, and there will be at this service, probably not tower tours, but you get the idea. There's all sorts, fundraising, dementia friendly. This is a Book of Common Prayer service. You know, you can choose all of these things. And then here there's details about what groups and activities this might impact on, because it might be that it's an evening group in someone's house that's a Lent course, and all of these different groups you can choose from, refugee advice, scouts, and then you can say, and that event is held in a private home, and then select, change the tags, and there you go. They're all chosen. It's a bit of a weird event I've picked there, but you can see that it's all of these things now will be searchable. So if somebody arrived on our homepage, right back at the beginning when we were on the homepage, you could see the search bar. If someone typed in Lent course near me and pressed search, then your event would show up on the map as being on. So that would help people who are looking for a specific thing. So lots of people at Easter and Christmas will just be searching by the name of the service that they're looking for rather than by a church name. So make sure that you tag those events in particular, carols, you know, that kind of thing. That's really helpful way of pointing out what you're doing. I also think it's a good idea to put an image on each of your events, because it just helps it look distinctive. So you can get some really brilliant stock footage, stock photographs from the Resource Hub, which I'll show you towards the end of today, which are just generic churchy images. But if you can, if you've got your own images, do try and use those. So you just upload it with this button here. Location's important to get right. So if the event does not take place in your primary venue, i.e. your church, you can uncheck that box and it will give you the option to put in a location. But if it does, and it knows where you are already, you can put it in as a regular event. So you can say that it's going to happen monthly. You select your start time by just scrolling through the times. It's going to be at 8:45 in the morning, and it's going to last for 1 hour, and then it's going to happen either every month. You know, you can literally pick, it's going to happen on the second Wednesday, and then you can select the months it's going to happen in, that kind of thing. If it's not a regular event, you can choose it as a one-off event, and you can select the dates, times, durations in exactly the same way. And then your optional details would be to put in a web link to some extra information. So it might be that if you're doing a Bible study course, like a kind of Lent course or something, you might want people to buy the book before the course starts. So you could put in a link to where they can buy that book online, and you can upload any extra things, you know, so if there's downloadable sheets that they need or anything. Now, Anne has asked, can events be added for other local churches with some distinction to show it's not, in our case, St. Paul's? So there is an option to copy an event. So once an event exists, so I would press save and that would publish this event here. Once that existed, a new box will arrive that says copy, and you'll be able to copy the details of any events that on pages that you manage over to any other church pages that you manage. What you can't do is share those events with any church pages that you don't manage. So if they're local churches and you're doing an event together and you all manage your own pages, you'll each have to add that event separately and just put in where it says location. You can choose that the location is not at your venue, but it's actually at St. Paul's down the road, and put in all the details. And you'd then obviously want to agree with that other church what all the details are going to be, so that you both put the same information out there so that people don't think it's two separate events, but it's actually one. The best thing to do is to obviously copy the event straight over, but you can only do that if you manage both pages. So that might just take a bit of coordination. So that is adding your services and events. Back to the homepage now. News and notices is very simple. You just press the plus button as you do with services and events, because the news and notices and services and events, they work in very similar ways. And if I wanted to add a news story, I just press the plus and I'd write headline, a little description of what the news is, and then the content. And realistically, it's probably something that you'd publish in your parish magazine. Do try and use this feature. And I'm being perfectly honest with you here and saying my church hasn't found the time to do it. So, you know, you're in good company if you don't find the time, but it is a useful place to upload any news to. And it works in exactly the same way. You can actually even schedule it to arrive to be published at a particular time. It doesn't have to go out straight away. You could select to upload it as, you could put your news sheets on. You see a notice sheet can go on, and you could publish it for Sunday morning, for example, so that it's up to date. Again, you want to put the tags in so that people can find the news, but it's much more restricted tags. There's only a few to choose from this time. Put an image in if you want to, and then this button down the bottom says save, and it would save it as a story. Very straightforward that. Now, about us is we've used this page as, it's just a blank box when you arrive as an editor. So we filled it in with a kind of frequently asked questions type thing. And I took these off our old website. And it just shows that some of the stuff that churches tend to get asked, we've put in there for anyone who might be new and arriving at church for the first time. Hopefully that's useful information. You can put anything you like in there. I know some people do history of the building, or they might do a kind of more of a broad description of what type of services and people you might expect to meet at church, whatever makes sense for your church. Obviously, it'd be worth agreeing that with your PCC. What do you want to say in the About Us section? You can also add the same information to your Facebook About Us page and your website. So it's a worthwhile thing working out what do you want to say about us. Now, the next option down is adding a new page of your own. I've added a few here. One's called Prayer at Home, which we created during the coronavirus to give people some prayers. A safeguarding page, which again is just an extra, it's just a repetition of what's on our homepage, but I just think it's worth having it in a couple of places. And a baptisms, weddings and funerals page, which is just kind of probably the reasons why newcomers might randomly appear on your page. They might be looking for one of these three things. And it's really good to be able to answer those questions straight off the bat. And we've obviously put in our contact details for people if they are looking to pursue any of these three things. Now, if you want to add a page, very, very simple. You just click Add Page. And you can put in anything you like. So you might put in like I've done, a baptisms page or something like that. You could have a page titled Our Groups or something, and you could then just list all of the types of groups that you've got at church, and then people could maybe see that there's loads of different ways that they can get involved in what you're doing. You don't necessarily have to attend every Sunday at this particular time. There may be other ways that you might want to start finding your way into church. So that's, I think, a really nice thing to add. And again, just a cover image which would cover this top purple bar at the top. And you can even add a video to these pages. So if your church is getting into the video thing, I know lots of people have added a Join Us for Worship Online page. You could put in your latest online worship every week with a link to your YouTube. So that would be really worth doing. And you can also change the order that these pages appear in. So if you want to prioritize this page up and above the other pages in this list here, you can turn this one into page 1 and reorder the others down the scale so that they all appear in the order that you want them in. It's quite flexible, really. Incidentally, this is currently the only place where video can appear on your Church Near You page. So it is definitely worth thinking about, is there an opportunity for you to use video? So you might want to add in a page that is called something along the lines of Welcome to St. Mary's, and then you could just put in a video that's about your church, which is a much more kind of user-friendly way to kind of tell people about your church. Lots of options, basically. Now, Find Us should be all present and correct already. That's a tab that you automatically have down on this side here on the left, and it should have the correct details of where your church is, in town or not in town if you're a country church. And you can edit the opening times and any getting here information. So if I was to just click on the edit version of this button, you can put in further details of your opening times, and you could even give bus stops or train stations, and then details about how far the walk is or anything like that, or we have parking or anything. Again, always useful to give as much information as you can. There's as many barriers as you can break down, the better, really. The next bit is your get in touch page. So this is what I've just clicked on the get in touch tab without pressing the edit button. So this is what people will see if I went into any one of your church pages and I clicked on the get in touch page. This is what I would see for you. It auto fills your contact details or the visitor's contact details in, and this is where people can send you a message. So this will then appear in your inbox, which is further down the list here. Now, we have a real issue with a lot of people having not logged into their Church Near You pages ever, or not in recent times. And actually, we've got all these unread emails in our inboxes on a Church Near You because people assume this is your website. They might not know you have an alternative website. So even if you do nothing else, go in and have a look and check that the inbox has not got any unread messages in, because I've seen ones where it's baptism requests and people wanting to use the church for their wedding, and you know, what a missed opportunity if we don't get a chance to talk to them. So do make sure that is emptied regularly, that inbox. You can even have it redirected to your own email address so that you don't have to keep checking the website. But I think it's good practice to come on this site at least once a week, because you can just check everything's up to date, because things change so quickly, don't they? Now, if you want to edit your get in touch details, you press, surprise, surprise, the edit button. And you can even write a little introduction about, you know, what people might want to get in touch with you for. You make sure the contact details for the person who is your main point of contact is correct. And all of this information will appear on your homepage as well as part of your get in touch little box. In fact, I'll show you. So it will appear there. So it's really important actually that information is correct, because you know that can easily go out of date if somebody leaves or someone takes over, or you get somebody to take the secretary role on, or whatever it is. You've got to make sure that is that's the right information. So those are just things that you need to check. They'll probably be reasonably correct, but it's very simple. You just press the little pen and go in and correct anything that's wrong. Facilities looks like this to the visitor, which just shows all of the facilities that your church has, which you, the editor, would click on the little pen to add your facilities. Now, everything that you've selected already should have a tick in it, but if you've added something recently, such as you put a bike rack in outside, you can then tick that box. And anything that you want to give extra information about, you can write about it. So you might want to put, we've got toilets, but you could also put they are disability friendly and accessible. If there's a defibrillator, it might be worth saying where that is. I don't know where it is, so I can't put that in, but I shall ask my vicar to make sure that's filled in. You could even put what side of the church the ramped entrance is on, so that people head for that side straight away, that kind of thing. So this is all about the physical, what's in the building, these purple tags. Then there's sort of other interesting things: open for prayer, listed building, whether you have a post office, and I know some of our churches do. Are you an eco church? What sort of music and worship do you offer? So just to show you, there's all sorts of stuff: alpha course, after school clubs, you know, I mean, just have a look through, you'll be amazed. There's so many things that you're probably doing. And if we just go back to that page now, you can see all the things that we've got tagged. It just gives you an idea, and it just helps people find what they're looking for. More information is not usually wrong, but it might be. If you click on here, that will show you your Crockford's details, so your clergy who are registered or licensed rather to your church, and you can just have a little look in here and check it's right, because sometimes it takes a while for the Crockford's information to transfer over. And if you are trying to get your new vicar registered as your editor and they're not registered as the Crockford's contact, that can get a bit complicated. But just do have a look on here. There's you can just report it if it's incorrect. So there's your inbox, as I said before. So there's our recent messages, and then other messages we've had through. As you see, venue hire, funeral, wedding, upcoming event, lots of, you know, emails about just ordinary things, and people find us through here. and sometimes they message you on Facebook, don't they? But it's just another way for people that maybe are relatively new to get in touch. Really worth keeping an eye on. And finally, the social media links you can add in down here. So if your church is on social media, just click the little pen and you can just put in the web address for your Facebook, Twitter or Instagram pages if you have them. Yeah, that's a really handy thing. So if I was a visitor and I was then to click on that Facebook little symbol there, it would just take me straight to the St. Mary's Facebook page. So that is a whistle-stop run-through of everything that you might need to see on your page. I'm very, very quickly going to take you to look at the resource hub, because this is something that has become quite invaluable during lockdown. If you've not seen it already, then prepare to be wowed. So here we go. You click on there. Every editor who has an account has access to this hub. And this is just stuff that the Church of England thinks you might find useful as a social media and digital coordinator for your church. There are videos that you can edit yourself to use on your social or to use on your church's page. This has all been about opening and closing our buildings, so you can just click on one of these and there's a sort of pre-made little cartoon video, and you can change the text to make it relevant to your church. So this one is about online giving, I think. Yeah, so giving. So you just probably want to change it to something that fits in this box, and you can delete it, as you see, just in this preview box here. And if I just put give to St. Mary's, and there it is, it appears. So worth having a try of those because they're free. Other useful things in the resource hub, you've got Christmas campaign materials will appear in here where I'm wiggling my mouse at the moment. If you want to use their Faith in Action videos, you can use those. That's kind of like discipleship resources. So you can download these videos and use them on your social media if you want to. Advisable, obviously, to watch them first to see if they represent the life of your church. Often I think it's better just to use your own content if you can, but if you want to use the national stuff, you're more than welcome to. Church of England logo, if you want to put that on anything for a poster or anything like that. And then the music and hymns is brilliant. So this is St. Martin in the Fields have been recording all sorts of different music throughout lockdown, and they give you the music lists for the coming couple of weeks, and you can just click the ones that you want. Let's say I want those 3. Scroll to the bottom, move that out of the way. And there's also words. So if you pick the words for the date that you're doing the service of, let's say it's that day, so they can be sent round anyone who wants to sing along at home. You agree to the terms and conditions and download the music and the words that you want. And the final bit is the stock photography, which you click to view here. There we go. And they just have very easy to find descriptions of useful images that you might want to use. So where I was saying you might want to put an image above the event that you're uploading, you might want to use something. You can preview them, by the way, by hovering your mouse over like this. So if you're doing a communion, you might want to use that image. Obviously, again, it's better if you can use pictures of people that are actually in your church, but something like this, Christingle, that's ideal because that's just very generic. There's also some good here we are, Advent wreath candle pictures, that kind of thing. And all you do is you select the ones you want like this, scroll down to the bottom, which is quite a long list now, click that you agree, terms and conditions, and download, and they'll appear in your downloads folder on your computer, which is very handy.